We are doing our pre-show. I am looking forward to people popping in the comments and saying hi. Let's see. I hope you're enjoying the music. That is from Creator Mix. Our friends Nick and Dee Nimmin are geniuses when it comes to creating cool music, especially period music for people like you and I, and them as well.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a certain, time frame in my lifespan, so.
When music was good.
Oh, well, I think that's a bit of a stretch now, isn't it? I mean, have you been rickrolled recently?
Oh yeah, I still love that song.
Good.
I still love that song. I'm not going to
one hit wonder, baby.
Yeah, well, he had two hits, and he's still doing his thing. Let me see. He's
still doing those two songs.
Yeah,
yep, he is. Both of them, a lot.
I think it was.
Yeah, I don't know. You can look back and sure there's some good stuff. There's a lot of bad stuff, just bad music, terrible music. But
like Devo,
it was popular.
Whip it good,
and people are still playing it. That's the scary thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah.
So,
all right. You talk to the kids for a sec. I'm going to run and get my drink, and then we'll be good to go. I've got to get my can of personality.
Oh, okay. Go get your can of personality. I'm not even sure I want to know what's in the can of personality. That sounds kind of scary to me. So I hope everybody's getting jumped in here, ready to be a part of the show today. I've driven the last couple of weeks, so this week Dave's going to get to drive. And I'm just going to be in the passenger seat, so that's the important thing. So, hope everybody's having a good week. It's sunny and beautiful here in Texas. A little on the warm side, even, but for this time of year, not too warm, must admit. So it's pretty nice around here right now. After a rainy spring, it seems that maybe May flowers are on their way. So, anyway, it'd be super nice. And we're excited about summertime. It's going to be busy around here, that's for sure.
Now, that was a good song by Will Smith, Summertime. the quintessential summer jam.
Back when Will Smith was a musician in some way.
Yes.
So, good old DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yes, when he was the Fresh Prince. It's funny, I've talked to people in our youth group. I've talked to people in our singles ministry that when I say something about Will Smith being a musician, and they're like, "What?" It's like, "Oh my gosh, yes."
Yeah, like his name was Fresh Prince. I mean, the thing is, LL Cool J is still LL Cool J, but Will Smith is not the Fresh Prince.
No, he is not the Fresh Prince anymore. No,
he is rebranded, I think you could say.
Yes.
Rebranded himself.
He slapped a new brand.
Ice-T is still Ice-T, despite the fact that he was a television star.
Yes.
He's still Ice-T, which is, still actually one of my favorite stage names ever.
Yeah, mine too.
It's like there's a couple of restaurants that have it where they label their tea, sweet tea, and that's like iced tea smiling, and unsweet tea is iced tea scowling on the picture. I just think that's wonderful.
I've seen that.
It's genius. I was in a restaurant just the other day that had that. I was like, okay, I'm liking this. So it's a good thing. Good thing.
What cracks me up is that your parents and my parents are the same age, and what's funny is hearing my mom talk about. She likes to watch Law and Order SVU, I think it is, and it has Ice-T on there, and she's like, Ice-T is such a great actor. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, he really is. He's a very good actor. But just, hearing my mom talk about her love for Ice-T, the actor, her love for Donnie Wahlberg, the actor, and I'm just sitting there going, yeah.
All right, so you got to put things in perspective here, though. Ice-T acts like Ice-T. Is that acting? It's kind of like watching a George Clooney movie.
Right.
Or George Clooney plays George Clooney.
Right.
He's always George Clooney.
That's right.
So is he an actor? Well, I mean, he's acting like he's somebody else, I guess, as long as the other person is exactly like George Clooney. Like, that's the thing. He's George Clooney. And so, there's actors who just bring their own personality and that works. I could just rewatched Gravity the other day. Great movie. Great
Excellent,
movie.
yes.
That's George Clooney's best movie, in my opinion, is Gravity. He's really good in it. And he plays George Clooney, like, the whole time. He is George Clooney, you know? Like, so either it could be he's the greatest actor ever because he's actually a super shy, introverted guy who never talks to people, or this is just the way he is. One or the other. But you know, if he's acting, he's the same character. It's kind of like Jim Carrey is most of the time the same character, you know?
Right.
Kevin Costner, same character.
Oh yeah, it's always
thing.
it's always, you know,
John
Kevin
Travolta
Costner,
is John Travolta.
Yeah.
You know? So,
every Kevin Costner movie is Kevin Costner playing Robin Hood. You know,
Robin
Kevin
Hood, which is a
Kevin
great
Costner
movie, by
playing
the
a
way. I
baseball
love that.
player. You know, Kevin
Dances with
Costner
Wolves
running a
is an
ranch
amazing movie.
in you know, in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I haven't watched the new stuff. I'm just not in. I don't get it. So, but that's okay.
All right,
All right.
folks. Let me see here. We are going to be talking today about repurposing content. If you're joining us in our chat, everybody say hi, please, so that we know that you're there, so that we can have conversations with you. If you have any questions or anything, then put a couple of question marks in front of it, and then ask your question. That way we can be sure to address it as we're going here. We are going to be talking about repurposing content, repurposing your live stream. And I'm going to show you a way, some tools, a couple of tools that I love that I use for this stuff that we do here that are really helpful. They're really helpful. One of them really leans in hard to using AI to help go through the process, which is really cool. We just so you know, these are things that I subscribe to, and we also have affiliate accounts, so those are in the description if you want to grab those and check them out. You know, I know that you, Curtis, I mean, you're the quintessential you know, church staff member. You know, you go a million different directions. You know, in 1 minute you're planning a event, and the next minute you're counseling, you know, a couple through a marriage crisis, and in the next minute
were you in my office yesterday?
Yeah,
That's
in the
describes
next
my
minute you're helping Jason, you know, come up with some of the uniqueness of music for Sunday morning and stuff. I mean, you go a bunch of different directions and stuff. So I know that a lot of people are having time issues and stuff, and so and that's something that I deal with. I mean, I'm doing this, right, and I'm also helping to run a television network and creating all that content. You should see my list. I've got 3 commercials I got to produce, you know, in the next day or two. But these tools have actually helped, and as I further refine my tool set or my time, you know, start getting up a little bit earlier, things like that. These things have taken some stuff that would have normally taken me a day to do, and have got it down to an hour or two, which is cool. And I think realistically, I think the person in charge of doing content, creating content, you know, publishing stuff on Facebook or YouTube or the podcast or whatever at a church, I honestly think that once you get into a routine, your Monday morning can be doing this, and then the rest of your week can be, you know, for everything else that you need to get taken care of. I honestly think that could happen. So I'm looking forward to showing some of this. Let's see here. Are we having an issue? No, we are good. All right. Live on YouTube and Twitter. Hello, hello, hello. Evening to ya. Wait, you're in the UK, right? Is that right?
He ain't from around here.
No, he's not.
All right, we're ready to roll.
Now, I just want to make sure that this is working smoothly. One of the things that I'm going to do is, oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Why isn't my Stream Deck on? What in the world? I reached over to push a button and it's like, no.
And all of a sudden it's not.
No, not today. That's interesting. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute.
There's some technical difficulties there, Justin. So we're glad you're with us, though, all the way from the other side of the pond. Yeah. So 10 o'clock in the morning here. So what is it like? 6 there? What time is it there? Is it 6 o'clock, maybe? I don't know. Normally I ask Alexa that question.
There we go.
You know, she's good at answering that question. So,
But they're
yeah.
6 hours ahead of us, I believe.
Is it 6?
Yeah, so he's he's almost at rush hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, okay, I got it up. Whew. All right,
Panic
so I'm
moment.
gonna. You guys are gonna be seeing a. I'm gonna be doing like going back and forth between this. The shot of me and Curtis and moving over here. Make sure this is following me good. Okay, good. Can you still hear me okay, Curtis?
Yep.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. Because I'm going to be showing you a few things on this laptop over here, so I think that works. Awesome sauce. This may be a little disjointed. We're going to go. If you guys have any questions about what we're doing, Curtis is going to keep an eye on those and bring them up as we're going. But I'm going to be walking you through just a very high level on a couple of our tools that we use. I think you guys are going to like it. So I'm going to turn the music down here. And I think we can get started. Oh, somebody else jumped in. Whoever you are, hello. We are glad you're here. Welcome to the show. I'm setting the recording name here. All right, here we go. We are all set. Recording is going. We are good. All right. Yeah, thank you. Justin says, cool camera that's following you. Yes, that is the OBS bot, OBS bot. I still don't know. That's this one right here. I still don't know what how they call it. It looks like OBS bot, and I think it may have been because they were solving a problem of having a webcam that you were using in OBS, that was more than just a standard little webcam, something that would follow you. And so they came up with that. So it's either OBS bot or it's OBS bot. I don't know. It's extremely cool. I love it. It's a small pan tilt zoom. I'm trying to think if this camera over here will see it. Let me see. No, it actually doesn't. Let's see. There it is. So that's it right there. You can see it's, it's about 3 inches. Yeah, it's about 3 inches or so in height. It's extremely cool. And it's a 4K camera, which is awesome too. It does 4K 1080. I'm trying to remember if it does 4K 60 or just 30, but it'll do 4K. I've got it coming in here and scaled down, but it's a solid little box. All right, let's see here. All right, are you ready, Curtis?
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Get the 2 up. Hey everyone, today on the show we're going to be talking about repurposing content. The way to grow your YouTube channel, if you didn't know it, I'm going to start this over. One of the most effective ways to grow your YouTube channel is by creating content. I know, go figure, it's kind of a no-brainer. The problem is that most churches only have like 1 or 2 services a week, and if you have 1 service a week, you can be real consistent, but how do you create more? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to the Church Media Creators Show. My name is Dave. If we haven't met, I'm a church media creator. And with me over on this side, I did it right. Hey, I did it right. I'm pointing at him correctly. It's Curtis. Say hello to the people, Curtis, while I marvel at my pointing skills.
Hi, people. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Curtis.
See, we can do this.
That's awesome. That reminds me of... Okay, this is an aside. You didn't pay for this, folks. That reminds me, when you're watching a show and they have somebody on a laptop screen or they have somebody on a tablet or something and they're interacting with the people in the room, they do this little fake joke to make it look real. I'm going to watch. They'll do stuff like if the person is over in another part of the room or if there's 3 people talking, they'll be doing like this. They'll be going, well, you see, Bob, oh, hey, Jimmy just walked in. Hi, Jimmy. Who's that over there? You know, and they'll do that thing where they're acting like they're physically in the space and not just looking at a flat panel. I think it's hilarious, but it brings
the best thing would be like, give me a high five.
Yes, exactly.
Dave, give me a high five. Come on, Dave.
There we go. Wait, so we're on that side.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're having fun, and that's
the joke.
Yes. Anyway. I'm sorry, that was free, folks. You didn't have to pay for that.
I'll pat you on the back.
Yes. Oh, thank you. That's good. We just scratch right here. Okay. Anyway, let's get on to the actual meat of the show here. We're going to be talking today about how to take your one live stream and do a whole lot more with it. Curtis, you're the one who, I'm up at the church a few times a week doing things, recording the announcement videos, helping out here and there. But you're there all the time. Is it safe to assume that as a church staff member, a leader, on the staff, that your calendar and the hours of your day are usually pretty packed, or are you just there on Sunday mornings?
Yeah, I only show up on Sundays. No, that's actually not true. Matter of fact, my son was looking over my shoulder at my calendar the other day, and he just goes, "What?" Like, it's just, there's multiple things on every day of my calendar for months to come. Literally, like, you don't see a day on my calendar where there's not something on it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm working every day. Some of those things are personal or whatever. But we have really busy schedules. If you're a staff member at a church, if you're the worship pastor or the senior pastor or the youth minister, whatever, you've got people scheduled to come in and meet with you. You're meeting with people. You're going to a coffee shop and sitting down and spending time with people. While you're doing all these things, you're counseling with people and you're planning worship service and you have practices and all these kinds of things going on. Yet there's also just the stuff that's got to get done about communication, planning, and things that aren't on the calendar, the things that just have to be done. And a lot of times, that's where a lot of our media falls. You can say, well, I know that when I jump in a Sunday morning that, I'm going to have to run the soundboard, or we're going to have the stream up and going, or whatever. But then there's all the cleanup that has to go after that. And then the question of, is just streaming our service enough, or should we be doing something more? Do I even have time for that? And that's where the questions get harder and harder and harder.
So, you mentioned something, and this is an aside, this actually isn't in my notes, but it triggered something. You were talking about how we have events that we're doing. We have events, whether you're planning an event, whether you're doing rehearsals, doing anything like that. Just as an aside, those are things that you can use. In fact, we tell people, we recommend that people do that they use those times that they're doing that to help generate some of that extra content. So the freebie here is and when you look at our different modes of live streaming, you'll see that one of the things is that selfie streaming that we talk about, where you're just using your phone and you're going live and you're showing currently what's going on. So that's one of those things that you can do is like during rehearsal on Sunday morning, you can just grab your phone and go to Facebook or go to YouTube and go live, or just record something and upload it later. But you're giving people something that they haven't necessarily seen on a regular basis. They see the Sunday morning service. They don't get to see the rehearsal unless they come early, right? They when you're setting up for an event or when you're doing an event, live streaming from there or recording and posting a little highlight or something like that, that is something that you can do very easily without any real forethought. Just grab your phone and go. And that's one of the things, Curtis, I think, is that people think that everything has to be perfect when it comes to generating content to go on there, and it doesn't. The beauty of like shorts and reels, Instagram reels, Facebook stories, things like that, is that they can be right there in the moment, and that's something that you can do. I mean, like right now in the middle of the show, Curtis could grab his phone and go live while we're live. I mean, that's the cool thing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's extra content, and it produces engagement, because if you are actually going live like on Facebook, then people are going to start chiming in and you can start saying hi. So anyway, that's not even a part of what I'm talking about for this episode. But when you said that, it triggered it. So put that in your back pocket and start doing it now while you're planning for camp, or while you're getting things ready for VBS, setting up the stage, doing things like that. Have someone grab their phone and go live on the Facebook page or in the church's private group or on the YouTube channel, something like that, and showcase what's going on, because it'll pique people's interest. And who knows, you may actually have somebody show up because, oh, I didn't know they were doing VBS this week. I'll bring my kid. So that's free. You guys didn't have to pay for that. So let's talk about the one thing that you are doing every week, your live stream. Now, depending on the size of your church, you're going to have, at least one service a week. I think it's pretty fair to say, and that's the one that most people are live streaming. Now, some churches do multiples. I mean, Curtis, we've got pastor friends that do 2 or 3 services on a Sunday. We know of larger churches that will do, maybe 2 of them on Saturday evening, because you've got people that work on Sundays, so they offer a Saturday evening one. I know that's something I think Life Church does. They'll have a Saturday evening, then they'll have 2 or 3 on Sunday morning, and then may have something on Sunday evening. There's churches that do stuff on Wednesday, and you may already be generating a lot of live streams or recordings for the different things that you're doing each week like that. But if you have just the one, then what do you do with it beyond just having the live stream itself, right? In order to grow your YouTube channel, do what?
I think that, the key is that we always think we need to like recreate the wheel.
Right.
But the dynamic is not that. That's just not true. We can go in and we can do things that allow us to use the work we've already done, and the work already done by those around us, and use that for an amplification device. It's funny, we amplify it by making it smaller. It's like, I don't know, it's like condensing something. Like, maybe you use a concentration in your dishwashing soap or your clothes washing, I don't know, whatever you use a concentration for. Maybe you buy the antifreeze that's concentrated and then it needs to be diluted for use. And so in essence, what we do is we don't actually, while we are limiting content, we're actually condensing the content. The goal would be, of course, to find really good content that stands alone, and then that actually provides as a great way for us to interact elsewhere. And so we can take something small, we take something big, we make it little, so that then it can be re-amplified and be made big again. And I think that's a key piece when we're talking about putting media out there that people can utilize. And that's what people are going to view most of the time. But every once in a while, there may be a clip that they see that they connect with, and then that does bring them to the larger message, brings them to your church website, helps them see all that you guys are offering, all that kind of stuff. Then it allows us to have digital outreach in such a way that we can really utilize that. And I think that is an essential part of that process.
Yeah, I agree. And the cool thing is when you start looking at, let's just say your one service, and depending on the format and depending on how your pastor formats things, and the flow that your pastor uses in their outline or what have you, you can actually generate a whole lot of these bits and pieces that people, and we call them snackable things, things like shorts and reels. And I want to address one thing before we jump into it. One thing I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't like shorts. I don't like reels. I don't like the short form content where we're making people mess up their attention span and all that sort of stuff." I understand that. I understand that. I don't like vertical video. I hear that all the time as a content creator, as a filmmaker, whatever you want to call me. I don't like vertical content and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's fine. I don't like it either. That's really irrelevant. The fact is, it's out there, and that's what people are consuming. TikTok itself is one of the largest social media platforms in the world. So is YouTube. YouTube is, I mean, literally billions and billions of short views every week. So it's out there. The thing is, are you going to make use of that tool just like any other tool, or are you just going to let it pass you by and become irrelevant? Because you are going to become irrelevant as far as the platform is concerned, because that is one of the ways that you can get more content out there and get more people interacting with your content. So I highly recommend that you start making use of those things, and we're going to be showing you how to do that. So let's start, Curtis, with just the live stream itself. Now, my philosophy is that the live stream is that live in the moment type thing, and we need to have it. We don't need to take it down after it's been published or anything like that. One of the things that we do here on our channel is when the live stream is over, I then rename it to be like a live replay of this show. So that way that when people come to it, they know they're going to get from the beginning to the end. Hey, everybody, we're setting up, we're doing stuff. How is everybody? Talking in the chat, doing things like that. They're going to get that pre-show. They're going to get what we're doing, for the actual live stream itself, the mistakes we make, all that sort of stuff, and then the chat at the end. That's the same thing I would like for you to do with your church, is that from the time that you start at our church, we have our format is we run the video announcements, or we do a baptism and then the video announcements, or video announcements then a baptism, something like that. And then we have the worship set that we do, which is 15-ish minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. And then we have 40, 45 minutes, maybe an hour of preaching, and then we have the call. I would say the call to action. The call to action, yes, the time to respond. Yeah, where people want to be prayed over, they can come down, all that sort of stuff, and then we finish out with the Great Commission. So what I recommend is that as soon as it's over, or that afternoon or Monday morning or whatever, that you go back into the YouTube Studio app and trim out just the sermon. Okay, and the cool thing is that you're not going to destroy that live stream that you have. So you're going to go into the studio. The studio has some really rudimentary but really powerful tools, especially for being a little online tool. You can go in and just take that one section and trim it down. So that 145 minutes, trim it down, and then save it, and it will generate a new video of that. So it will not show up in your live section, but it'll show up in the content, like it'll look like an upload. Okay, and then you can title it, put a thumbnail, do stuff like that. And so right there, for that 7-day period, you've created 2 pieces of content. You've got the live that you did, actually 3 if you want to look at it. You actually went live, so that was an event. But now you have the live replay that people can come and they can watch the whole thing. They can watch the entire worship set. They can sit there at their desk or in their living room and just go crazy, and then they can watch the sermon. Or if they want to just partake of the sermon, they can do that as well. Now you have two pieces of content that have been created from just the one. Now, beyond that,
it's important to realize that when people are connecting with you online, you've got a service. Your service is, say, an hour and 15 minutes long. A lot of people are going to look at a video and say, that's an hour and 15 minutes. I don't have an hour and 15 minutes. So they're out immediately. They're not going to watch it. They don't want to pull up your video and say, well, I'm going to scroll over to the beginning of the message, that wherever that is, or whatever. The other dynamic comes down to what you're producing from an audio standpoint with your music. So most churches are not producing recording quality audio in your live production. It's very, very difficult to do, and that's why most people don't do it at all. And so what really comes down to is your audio is probably going to be, if depending on your setup, if you're set up and you've got a guy back in a studio room with, monitors, and he's able to mix the audio and really mix it for the stream, and he's not getting inundated with the sound from the room and all that kind of stuff, you can produce a pretty decent quality audio, but you're still producing a live mix, which pretty much doesn't happen anywhere in the television world, or certainly in movies or anything like that, because it's so difficult to do. And so that's one of the reasons that, cutting out your music does a couple of different things. One, it's probably not the highest quality thing you're doing. Two, it's shortening your video to a length that someone's actually willing to watch. And then three, there's copyright fuzzy edges at different points. And yes, if you hold the license to stream it, but then once it's streamed, now it's just rewatchable. Copyright laws are pretty wild right now. It's kind of like the Wild West out there. But most people just aren't looking to connect to a pre-recorded setup that's an hour and 15 minutes long. That's just not where they are. And
Right.
so we've got to keep that in mind.
Right. And it's not to say that people don't enjoy having a worship experience or watching, a mini concert or whatever you want to call it during that time. Doing it live, again, it's in the moment and it's real, and it's you're participating in the event as it's happening. Even if it's not perfectly mixed, that's okay. But after the fact, if we want to watch, if I want to watch, something from I don't know, Hillsong or whoever, then I'm going to go watch that video that they've done, or I'm going to go watch a live concert. So we just need to keep that in mind. We don't have to put out the entire thing. The taking of the sermon and clipping it out so it's its own thing. One of the things that it allows you to do is have a playlist for like that sermon series. So we just finished up Curtis, the Galatians series, and this was 3 months. Since January that we've been going through Galatians, a very in-depth thing. So clipping it out, we can now put it in the playlist in order, and we can then share that one playlist, or when you watch one of them, we can link to that playlist so that someone can then go deeper into the next one, go to the previous one, etc. And they can do that. It basically becomes a Bible study at that point for someone to partake in. And I know that as a user myself, I do that all the time. Y'all don't know it, but I sit here or stand here at my desk, for several hours a day, creating content, editing shows, doing stuff like that, making the thumbnails, whatever, all that sort of stuff. And right here next to me is a television, and I'm watching Greg Laurie, I'm watching Jack Hibbs. I'm not going through their entire service. I'm going through, Greg Laurie's, study in Revelation that he does every couple of years, or I'm going through a Wednesday night talk that, on current events that Jack Hibbs is doing as part of a Wednesday night series that they're doing, or something like that. I'm going through that hour or that 45 minutes, and then moving on to the next one, then moving on to the next one. A lot of people, everyone needs to understand that your church is a media business. Basically, everyone, every organization, every company, every small business, every club is a media organization, is a media business, whether they realize it or not. So these things that the larger churches are doing, and that they have big budgets and all that sort of stuff to do, you can do these things as well, maybe on a smaller scale, maybe not at 100% like they're doing. If let's say that, Harvest or Jack Hibbs Church is setting the standard, or First Baptist Dallas or whatever, setting the standard as far as broadcast goes. Maybe you're not doing it at 100, maybe you're doing it at 15%, but you're doing some of the exact same stuff that they're doing. And the cool thing is that with the tools and stuff, you can do it almost just as well as they're doing. So doing so provides more content, more ability for YouTube to share things that you're doing. Hey, if they liked this one, they might like this one, and that will help grow your channel. Now, I want to talk about what to do with the stuff after. So we've talked about trimming it and publishing out just the sermon itself. Now, I also suggest, I tell everybody to stream and record. Okay, so you have a local copy, much higher quality actually than the actual stream. Okay, if you haven't recorded, or if you don't record, or if you don't have the horsepower on your computer to record, I can do one encoding. I can either stream or I can record, but I can't do both. That's fine. Stream, okay, then go download it out of the YouTube studio so that you can, oops, went to the wrong one, so that you can have a local copy of it and then trim it again. Okay, so trimming out the worship, trimming out the closing, all that sort of stuff, just having that one piece, the sermon itself. You can then pull that audio out, have a little intro, like a podcast intro or a radio style intro. I always tell people, go listen to the Word. Most major metropolitan areas have a Salem radio affiliate or 2 or 3, and can go to the Word FM, whatever. For us, it's 100.7, I think, here in the Metroplex, Curtis. But you can go on there and you can listen to, various national preachers preaching and stuff. Just listen to what they're doing. Do something a little bit like that. You don't have to go to the full extent that they're doing, but take a cue from some of their production style and do that. You're watching, or you're listening to the Tate Springs podcast with Pastor Jared Wellman, and now here's Pastor Jared. Good morning. Take your scriptures and turn to, and there you go. You've created a podcast. Then go upload it to a podcast host like Podbean. That's who we use. We like Podbean. Go to getpodbean.com if you want to check it out. There's links in the description. Podbean is very inexpensive, and you can upload the audio and then put that out and go submit it to the different podcast directories like Apple Podcasts and Google and Spotify and Amazon Music and all that. And now you've got another piece of content. The same thing is now available in a different format. And so now you've got 3 things that you've done from just that one. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it's important to realize that, like, say you're wanting, so as a church, the face of your church is your pastor, obviously. Mm-hmm. This is the person that people want to meet when they come in. This is the person that's driving the vision of the church. They're the upfront person who's probably sharing the message on a weekly basis, and then you have your worship pastor, who's kind of like your secondary face, but the primary face is the pastor, and there are a lot of demands on his time. First of all, he's preparing a message every week, which, if he's doing a good job, takes a lot of time. But if it's not taking him much time, you should be worried. But if he's taking his time in it and spending the time he needs to, then he's developing something really cool. But at the same time, your pastor may be visiting people in the hospital. He may be leading prayer groups or leading a Bible study during the week. He's meeting with church members. He's meeting with other pastors about ministry going on in the area, or ministry that you're connected with through your organizations and things like that. And he's probably very, 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 very busy. And so to look at him and say, well, we want to have an outreach opportunity outside of our walls, something digital. So each week we just want you to sit down in a chair and just share the Bible with us for 30 minutes. Well, guys, that's just not practical for most pastors. I mean, you can say, well, it should be, it's important. I understand, but so is everything else he's doing. And so you need to be able to say, let's take the work he's already doing and figure out how to repurpose that. And that's been going on for generations at this point. Churches used to print pastors' sermons in the newspapers before there was TV and radio for that exact same reason. Let's maximize the effort being put in for this Sunday morning event. And when we do that, then whether it's printing it in the newspaper, broadcasting it on the radio, broadcasting on TV, or live streaming, or putting it on YouTube, whatever it is, having available on our website, this is maximizing all of the effort that goes into that one thing. So you're not having to create something additional and use everybody's efforts and times in that, which means other things have got to be pushed away. And I think that's just really important for this aspect and for what we're going to be continuing to talk about, where we talk about really breaking out some of the information.
Yeah. And that's, you had a key point there, I think, is to realize this has been done for decades and decades. When the FCC made rules or something that said every radio station has to have some amount of open space or something, so that a nonprofit or a church or something could do it on Sunday mornings or whatever, they started doing stuff like that, right? So and now the cool thing is, and I don't know when this kind of hit me, but I realized that I was listening to the same sermon for the first 3 days of the week at some point. I'm like, wait a sec, that's right, because this guy preaches for about an hour. So, it's a half-hour block on the radio, so they just cut it up into 3 20-minute pieces. And, now you can actually, take a sermon series. I mean, if we did just something like that and just did, a half-hour podcast with a 40-minute or 45-minute sermon, our Galatians thing, we could, that was 5 months worth of sermons. That's almost a year right there, in say a weekly
Right.
podcast. I mean, that's not bad, when you really think about it. Now, I want to pop over to my other computer. I'm going to show you a couple of things. One of the things that I want people to start thinking about is creating shorts, which on YouTube are really, the shorts are, YouTube is in a big push, I guess you could say, for shorts, and they put those up front because our browsing habits are short, right? Most people just observe people when you go to the grocery store or something. If they're waiting in line, are they reading a magazine at the checkout like they used to? No. What they're doing is they're probably sitting on their phone, and they're just going through, and they're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and watching a little short, watching a little 15-second, 20-second video or something, going to the next one. And they may do that for 2 or 3 minutes, and now it's their turn, and they start doing their checkout or something. It's everywhere. Sitting at a train, I looked over, and there's some guy in his Tesla, and he's just taking a look at shorts and waiting for the train to go. So people are consuming this content. So there's a lot of it out there. YouTube is pushing it. And one of the things that's really cool is that someone will watch your shorts, see it. It'll show up in their short feed or the short shelf. They'll see it, and then they may want to watch another one, or they may watch it 2 or 3 times. If they watch it 2 or 3 times, then that tells YouTube, let's show them another one. And then 3 or 4 down, they may get another one from you. And there will come a point where they say, this person is watching a lot of the shorts from this church, and so maybe we should recommend one of their live streams, or maybe we should recommend one of their other videos. And now the shorts has become a way into the other things, the more depth that you have on your YouTube channel, thus growing your YouTube channel. Okay, so I want to show you something. I'm going to bring up my my laptop, and whoops, I hit the wrong button. I'm going to bring up my laptop. We're going to go over there, and we're going to talk for a minute about Descript. I use 2 tools right now. These are tools that I pay for. One of them is called Descript. The other one is called Video AI. Both of them I subscribe to. They're fairly inexpensive. I don't know, $15, $19 a month, something like that. I look at it as I pay maybe $40 between the 2 of them, and I get tools that save me a huge amount of time and allow me to create more content. And so I'd like for you to consider thinking about it as well. We've got links to those. Like I said, I do pay for these, which means I'm using them on a regular basis. I love them. And also, we do recommend them. So we have affiliate links in our description if you want to check them out yourself. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. The first thing I want to show you is Descript. So I'm going to jump over there to that machine. You guys should be seeing it. That's Jason, and he looks like he's in pain, but he's actually singing, so please forgive us. One of the things that we do with Descript, or one of the things I want you to do with Descript, is be sure that you download the actual app itself. It is a website. You can do all of this through the website. It just happens a lot quicker if you download and use the app. When you load up Descript, you can then take one of your videos and drag it in, and it's going to go through a transcription process, which is genius, absolute genius. It transcribes everything. It will even ask you to identify speakers. So if you have 2 or 3 speakers, or your pastor and someone doing announcements, and then the worship pastor, what have you, what it does is it will, it will go through and identify those people, so you end up with a script over here on this side. All of this right now is been generated. Like here's the singing. Let me show you. Now notice when I clicked on it in the script, it went straight to it in the timeline.
Hallelujah! He is the one who reigns, the one who is worthy. To God be the glory, the great things He has done. Church, let's sing it to Him this morning. Put your hands together.
Okay, so one of the things that Descript is really good at is doing that initial cut that I told you. When I told you to download the live stream or take your recording of the live stream, you can load it into Descript and then just trim out the sections that you need to trim out, which is really easy. I'm going to scroll through to about, and I can actually see it down here because I can read the waveform and see what's going on. But right around here is when the pastor starts to come in. So they're still singing. Now he's going to pray.
To the one who deserves all the honor.
Okay. Now, the next section down is where the pastor starts, right? So he starts off with, go ahead and take your copy of the scripture. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a scene right here, and it has cut these things, and I can now delete them out of my timeline. And now my entire timeline has shrunk down to right at the beginning when the pastor starts talking.
That you would never achieve any success or this. Go ahead and take your copy of God's Word with me this morning. Turn to the book of Galatians, chapter 6. And as you are turning to Galatians chapter...
That right there saves a ton of time. We can go to the end when he finishes up. Let's see. He is still preaching. And now he's praying. And let's see. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. And I can go right there, insert a scene, and I can delete that. And boom, I now have just the sermon itself. I could then output it as a single file. I can export the audio, and I'm ready to go. Now, the next thing that you can do with this is you can start, and I'm going to do a much more in-depth walkthrough of Descript for you. But one of the things that you can do is you can, in Descript, you can select sentences, and then you can copy these things, and then go and start a new timeline and paste them in. So I can take, if he has, say 2 or 3 points that he's made, if he's got 2 or 3, point number 1, this, point number 2, that, point number 3, the other. I could go to those 3 points. I could just copy those 2 or 3 sentences at a time, put them into a new timeline, make them vertical, and then put them out right there as a short by itself. Do you see, Curtis, the potential for just this tool for scrubbing through things just by finding words or sentences, or it blows my mind editing from a transcript like you would editing a Word document versus having to find something in a video. Can you see it?
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you watched a sermon and there's this one statement in the middle of it and you're like, "Oh, that's great. Like that's a great tidbit." And you're like, "Okay, mark where that was in my brain in the service." Now, maybe if you're editing, maybe you can jot down the time or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Which is what I used to do.
But it's like, "Oh, that's where he says such and such." Well, now it's right there, and you're like, okay, I'm looking for the words Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's just a normal thing, right? It's in everybody's messages. And so, you would scroll, or Star Wars, or basketball, or whatever. And so we would scroll up until we see that word. We can scan and find it, and it just really, it keeps us from, okay, I'm going to pull up here. Okay, I'm going to play the next minute. No, it was after this. I'm going to go a little further. I'm going to go a little further. And even if you're jotting down times, oh, well, now all of a sudden, where did that post-it note go? Whatever. It also allows you to then be able to see, okay, here's what he says. I'm not listening. I can read over it in a second. Whereas if I'm going to listen for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I can glance through it and say, well, here's where he starts it. Here's where he ends it. Let me clip that and see how it stands alone, from a perspective of if I'm just watching it. Does it feel jerky or something like that? Do I need to include a little bit before, a little bit after? But by being able to see it as text in a transcript form, it just really saves an immense amount of time when you're trying to scrub through and find those clips that are important for the connectivity and the use of it in a way for church outreach and connecting outside, because your hour and 15-minute service is not going to do that, and your 45-minute message is probably not going to do that either. But if I can clip down to that 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and then there's a link to the rest of that sermon, now I actually have the chance to connect with somebody and for them to become connected with us, through digital media, which is, it basically, it's the amplification process that we're looking at.
That's right. And you have to think of these little pieces as a standalone piece, right? So that by itself, whether it is an illustration that he's doing, or whether it's the 1, 2, or 3 points, and a wrap up thought or something, that is something that can be encouraging to somebody throughout the week. So this is something that you're putting out there that can stand on its own, be on its own. Whether they go deeper or not, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Right there in that moment, I am serving out something that I hope is a blessing to somebody. I do that 2, 3, 4 days a week with, the YouVersion Bible app. They always have a verse of the day. So I check that verse of the day, and if that, this sounds real self-serving. If that verse speaks to me, if that is something that that I think, that is a really deep thought right there, and maybe I can say a little something about that, then I'm going to generate that image and I'm going to publish it because it spoke to me and I want to share it with somebody else. Same thing here. Point number 1, point number 2, a thought, a quote, something like that, a bunch of different thoughts that are scattered throughout the sermon that you can copy, paste, and come up with an overall, coherent thought on a certain topic or a certain scripture or something like that. Can be very encouraging. Can help people get the point that they may not have 45 minutes to really get. They can at least get the main point. So it's an easy way to do it, and you'll find things like that all throughout your sermon. So when you start thinking creatively about that, you realize I've got this huge repository of knowledge right here in this 45 minutes. I can get 10 amazing little pieces. And what's cool about Descript is you can then turn on the captions and it will caption those. You can format them and you can make it look like any of the shorts and stuff that you see on a regular basis, the good ones and the bad ones. I mean, you can put stickers on it, you can add music, you can do all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. So Descript, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
In fact, I haven't even told you this, Curtis. When I go to edit this episode of the show, or any episode of the show, the very first thing I do is I load it into Descript, and then I trim off the beginning where we're talking with the chat, and then trim off the end where we're talking in the chat, just like I was trimming out the sermon by itself, right? And it has a couple of tools. One of the things it can do is it can go in and find all the spaces, like the gaps. So where, say, the audio gets down, or there's more than 1 second or 1.5 seconds of pause, like we're thinking about something, it will go through and find all of that, and then you can say remove, and now that statement becomes we're thinking about something, and makes it just that little bit of short. it'll also find all the filler words, okay? Like and so and these filler words that we use. It will go in and find all of those, and we can delete those as well. So I could remove every in the entire thing here and make it sound a lot more coherent and a lot more tight, which is really cool. So it's a really useful tool. I highly recommend that everybody check it out. Do the free trial. Check it out. It's great. Speaking
All right.
of,
Well, Dave, we all know that AI is taking over the world, and so Skynet is upon us,
yes, it is.
and it's terrible and awful, except when it's not. And so we have an example of when it's not terrible, right?
Yes, absolutely. I want to show you guys.
Why don't you share that with us?
A tool that I use called Video AI, and if you've seen any of the shorts that Curtis and I publish, we're using this tool to do it. Let's go back. See, I just had an that's going to get rid. There's another right there. There's 4 uhs in a row that are going to get removed. Let me show you guys Video AI. So Video AI, I've actually gotten to know their developer just a little bit. Blows my mind of what this can do. When we talk about trimming out the service, that's one of the things that I want y'all to do is when you trim the service out, you end up with just that 45 minutes. Video AI allows you to do a couple of things. You can upload a video directly, or you can point to a YouTube URL and suck it in, okay? So I will do that from time to time. I will take an episode of this show and just pull it into Video AI and let it go to work on it. Other times I will take the trimmed version. So if you're using Descript, or if you're using Photoshop, or even if you're just trimming in YouTube Studio, and we talked earlier about you trim out just the sermon part, it generates it as a new piece of content in your studio content list, then you can download that and upload it to Video AI, or you could link Video AI to it and have it ingest it from there. Now, I've done that with our sermon from this last week. I trimmed it out in Descript, and then I uploaded it here. And one of the things that Video AI does is it will go through and make clips for you. So it has gone through and done, I don't know how many clips it did, but it sent me an email and say I've done 13. Yeah, so it did 13 shorts. It came up with 13 shorts, and it applied templates. I'm able to go through the process and choose templates that I want to do. I can make a template, or I can use pre-done, and it will create a version of each one of these shorts that it made. So it made 13 of them, okay? And it ends up with, say, 10 of this one, 10 of that one, 10 of this one, using the different templates that I've told it to do. So what it does is it analyzes the speech, it analyzes the text, it analyzes the transcript, and then figures out a good point to create the short. So it'll take from this sentence to that sentence, a minute's worth, 45 seconds worth, and hopefully you'll get a good coherent thought. Now, there's times when you end up with stuff that's not all that great. I'm going to show you one version. So here we go. This was at the very beginning. Why do we follow Jesus? I'm going to go to edit and download. Now you'll see all the flavors of this one that it created. I'm going to hit play, and you'll see it's done. It did 59 seconds worth. I'm going to show you how it starts and then how it ends, and you'll see that this one may not be perfect.
Turn to the book of Galatians, chapter 6. And as you are turning to Galatians chapter 6, and as you think that you might get something out of it. There are a lot of people who follow Jesus because they think that following Jesus will protect them from getting sick. There are people who follow Jesus because they think that following Jesus will make them rich.
Okay, that's where it stopped. That thought was kind of left out in the open, so it may not be the perfect thing that I want to do. I may need to extend it a little bit more and may need to trim up the beginning of it so that it's not as it starts a little bit later, but we still want to keep it at that, under a minute so that it shows up as a short. Okay, so sometimes they nail it. Sometimes you have to make adjustments, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. Let's go back over here to our list. Here's one. I think this is a good one, I believe.
While the Christian life promises a destination of eternal life, the purpose of the Christian life on earth is the journey. Now, here's the sermon in a sentence. God has invested his word into your life so that you can spend your life investing it back into his word. God loves you so much that he has invested his word into your life, and a successful life is investing his word, your life, back into his word.
Perfect. So that right there is a perfect short. The length is just right. I can now go to edit and download, and then I can download it, put it out. It's going to start doing the export, and then it will be available for download. That is cool. When you have 45 minutes worth of talking, and it goes through and it says, this seems like a good sentence, and I'm going to come up with a title for you based on this sentence. I'm going to take it from point A to point B and have a good coherent thought. That's pretty cool. I didn't do any of the work. All I did was say that I was going to trim it so we have exactly what I want it to filter through, load it up, and then it does all the work. The cool thing is, each one of those, when you find the one that you want to do, you can go to that edit and download, and you can even go into, they have this wonderful little tool called Cut Magic, which will kind of undo all the embellishments and stuff that they've done and let you reframe things and tweak it and make it exactly the way you want it for that given time span. That is really cool. I've talked to the developer. They're actually working on some enhancements to this that will make it even more useful if you can't figure out that by itself is a pretty hefty little tool. From there, you can generate 4, 5, 6, 7 clips maybe, upload those one a day or 2 a day or whatever schedule that you want like that, and create more content, have more things that are available for the people in your congregation and for people online to discover that will hopefully edify them and hopefully help grow your YouTube channel. What do you think about that, buddy?
Yeah, I think that, the key is to maximize the work that we're doing, work smart and hard, not one or the other,
right.
And be able to take pieces of what we're doing. So this could happen with your Sunday morning. Hey, you know what? This could happen with your Wednesday night youth service. This can happen with a Bible study. Any of those kinds of things can be turned into online content. They can be multi-purposed, and I think that's the key. I mean, I've got this thing right here. I've got an iPhone, and my iPhone is a multi-purpose device. It's, you know what it does? It texts, and it shows videos, and it surfs the web, and there's apps for our church calendar, and there's apps for everything, right? You can track and trace and do all this kind of stuff. Oh, and it makes phone calls. Did you know that? I mean, please don't call, because I really don't want to talk on the phone, and don't leave a voicemail, because I really don't want to check a voicemail. But the truth is, we live in a world where we multi-purpose. Everything has more than one use. And for us to take something that people are putting a lot of time into and just confine it to 1 hour is kind of a waste. And even for us to say, well, we also have it available online. Okay, cool. For people who are, invested and want to get that, that's great. But realizing that there are outreach tools available to us when we start trimming things up and we start putting things out there that people say, hey, that was interesting. I'd like to hear the rest of that message. Or even something that you can say, hey, I saw this popped up about my pastor on Instagram, this clip from his message. Well, I can share that with my friends. Hey guys, check this out. This is awesome. These are all ways that we can use what's already being made to be able to invest in our local community and the digital community abroad and help people connect with what we're doing in our churches, help them connect to what God is doing, and amplify the gospel through this. We literally are amplifying by shrinking it down and then letting it get big again. And that's really the ultimate goal.
That really is. That's really good. We're amplifying by shrinking it down. I love that thought. Make things smaller so you can make them bigger. One of the things that I like about going through this process, using, and, like I said, I jump back and forth between using Descript and Video AI both. And again, we have links in the description if you guys want to check it. I highly recommend. In fact, Cord, who you hear us mention a lot, he's a friend of ours. He's in here off and on throughout the week. Cord has been using the free version, I think, of Video AI to create some of the shorts that he's doing. So you can use their free version. You have a few restrictions, but it'll help you get started, and I think you'll be able to see the benefits of it. I'm telling you, the little Cut Magic tool that they have in there is really, really handy. One of the things that the benefits of doing this is when it goes through and it identifies some of these thoughts, some of these clips, you may find one or two sentences in there that you can then pull out and put on a pretty picture and post as an image on Facebook or Instagram. Again, you're repurposing that content. You're taking that thought and providing it in a different medium, which again amplifies that message. You may not see that short come up, but they may see that image. Facebook gives different weight to different things. You can upload reels. So if you keep them under a minute, then YouTube will take a look at something that is 59 seconds, 1 minute or less, and will say, that's a short, and so it treats it like a short. Facebook, you can do longer. Okay, so what you may want to do is you may want to have the YouTube version and then the Facebook version, or I basically just do one for the other. I always keep it at the 1 minute mark. But then you upload it to Instagram, you upload it to Facebook, you upload it to YouTube, and those are out there. Then you take that thought, and maybe if you have a couple of pictures of your pastor, or just export just a still image and put that up there, and then whatever that thought is, the sermon in a sentence, maybe from our standpoint, and then dash Dr. Jared Wellman. Boom, you now have another piece of content that's out there. So you can take that one live stream that you're doing, that hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, whatever that you're doing, and you could generate 10, 20 pieces of content. And then if you're using something like Hero Post or something like that allows you to schedule out your content, you could load these things up and have them released on the various platforms at different times. The cool thing about YouTube is you can batch upload. So you could grab 10 shorts and drag them all into the uploader and then go through and give it a title, and then put the schedule date. So one of them goes out at 8 a.m. this morning, another one goes out at 4 p.m. If you have 20 of them, you're going to do 20 a week. Great. But see, you can produce a lot of content with very little effort. And when I say that, Curtis, somebody like you that has a very packed schedule throughout the week, this is something that whatever your schedule is like, Monday morning you come in, or Monday afternoon, or during lunch or something, one day a week or whatever, you donate, an hour of time, an hour and a half or whatever to kind of get all this stuff done and then get it scheduled to go out. And then you're free to do the rest of the week. And in the background, this content is being published and you're edifying people and you're growing the platforms that you're on, which will, again, bring more people to those platforms and help expand the reach and amplify the gospel, which is what we're trying to do here.
I think that what we want to do is we want to advance everything we can with everything we already have instead of creating more work. And
right.
I think that's the key to all these tools. How can we take what we're doing and use it to further things along? And that's what you can do in your church as a church media creator. You can take this opportunity to amplify the gospel by shrinking it down and letting it grow again, not by limiting it. Remember, it's like buying something that's concentrated. We're going to concentrate it down to this thought so that people connect with that biblical concept and say, I want to know more about it. And they realize I can learn more about the Bible and what God's wanting to do in my life through that church that posted this clip. That's the important thing. We want to make sure we are truly connecting with people, connecting people to the gospel so they can pursue the Lord and find out what he has for them. And that's what church media creation is all about. Thank you guys for joining us today. You have a great one.
That was good. So in the chat, Justin said that Facebook does shorts. Yeah, well, so they call it Reels, okay? Or, yeah, I think it's Reels. There's also Stories. Stories are something that only last for a day or something like that. They go away. So I tend to not do Stories just because if I'm going to be putting the content out there, I'd rather it stay a little bit longer. So, yes, when you upload something to, say, vertical video or square video, and that's the cool thing about Descript, is they have, and I'm going to do a full review of it. I'm going to do a how-to and all that. I really love Descript, and I really love Video AI. Both of them, Descript lets you choose whatever format you want, widescreen, short. You can do a custom one, all that. Video AI has all these templates that. What I ended up doing was I took a template that I like that they do. And then I went in and made a few changes to it. It lets you load up your brand information. So for us church media creators, I've got the church media creators logo thing. I've got just the little whatever it is, the little stop sign thing or whatever with the video camera in there. I also made one that was churchmediacreators.com, so I can put those elements into there, and I can make a template and save it with a background that I want, what have you, and then that becomes available to me when I go through that ingest process, and it's going through, and I say, okay, I want to do YouTube Shorts, so I choose that. Then I say, okay, here's all the templates I want. I like that, and they ask you to choose 3, so or more. So I have like 9 or something for the vertical ones. Then the LinkedIn, is a square one. Instagram is a different, a little bit different format. So you can choose these things, and then you can also put in stuff like your handles for those various platforms, and it will automatically put that stuff in when it creates it as well. It's really, really cool. They're working on a tool that when they release it, I'm going to shout it from the rooftops because it's going to make it. It could very well make it the killer app. It's that good. So. Yeah, and the cool thing is it's just a matter of once you do it and download it, then it's where you're going to upload it. And Facebook even lets you cross-post. So like when you upload something to Facebook, there's a little flag you can do to say, also put it on my Instagram account, and vice versa, since they're both owned by Meta. So, you can kind of kill 2 birds with one stone. And just remember that there is a unique audience. There is some crossover between those 3 platforms, but there's also unique audiences there as well. Some people are only on Insta. They don't use Facebook. So be sure you're using that. Some people are,
it all depends on what demographic you're wanting to reach.
Right, exactly.
If you're a church and you're only trying to reach one demographic, that's one thing. If you're a college ministry, then don't post anything on Facebook because you're wasting all of your time.
Yeah, go set up a TikTok account.
Insta.
Whoa.
Something like that, So, I mean, the only reason they have Facebook accounts is to keep up with their grandparents. So, that's just how it is. You need to know your audience and know who you're trying to reach to know which platform is your best option.
Yeah, it's really cool. Anybody have any more questions? If not, we can call it. This has been a pretty good show. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you find this useful. I hope that what we want is to open your eyes. Basically, we want to kind of expand your vision. Oh, I didn't realize I could do that. Or if you see something that other people are doing and you're thinking it's this big wall that you have to climb and you're not sure even where to start, now maybe you can see it's not that hard. Yep.
Cool. Sounds good to me.
All right. You guys take care. Have a fantastic week, and we love you guys. I'm going to fade to black right about now.